Hey guys, Kakarot197 again, and today I'm going to tell you about my experience trying out the Gunpla scan, which is basically Gundam build fighters in real life, or if you want to get technical, Gunpla builders beginning G in real life, because unfortunately Bandai Namco hasn't yet discovered the Plavsky particle. So, for the Gundam VIP event at Anime Expo, they decided to fly out the entire Gunpla scan setup, which was the first time it ever made it outside of Japan, which isn't surprising considering how heavy and probably also how delicate the whole thing is. And they themselves also said that it wasn't cheap to get there. And then after a short introduction, it was time to get scanning. But I can already hear some of you wondering, did it actually scan the Gunpla, or was it just pre-programmed to say, yeah, sure, the thing you put in there, that's definitely the RX-78-2, let's go with that. Which is a possibility that also crossed my mind when I first heard about the whole Gunpla scan thing, and is, I believe, also something that I posited during the Gunpla news, where I covered it. But there were two things to show us that the machine was actually scanning the Gunpla. One intentional and one unintentional. The intentional thing was very simple. After the whole demonstration was done, people could use Gundam markers to customize some of the RX-78-2s they had provided and then scan them in, and the customizations would show up in the Gunpla scan. But then the unintentional one was probably the best of all, which is how it usually goes with unintentional things. Something went wrong during the scanning and the Gundam's right foot didn't register. And then when the actual game began, the foot wasn't there. Oh no! So the whole process really did confirm that the thing actually scans Gunpla. But without a good game, the whole thing is just nothing more than a cool gimmick. So how was the game itself? And in short, it was amazing as a proof of concept. The first thing it reminded me of was the earlier slower paced versus games like Federation vs. Zeon and Rango vs. Zaft, but then mixed with some Gundam Breaker. So it was really easy for me to get used to the controls, and I quickly fell into my comfy playstyle of Rango vs. Zaft. And then I got to fight my way through some grunts before facing off against the final boss of the stage, the perfect grade Unicorn Gundam. And of course, it wouldn't be a Gundam game without a cute operator also giving me some instructions. So the whole package was definitely there. I got to play a functional game that played smoothly with the added coolness of your character being your own scanned-in Gunpla. But of course, there were still a few things a little bit rough around the edges. Even though the gameplay felt smooth, the movement on screen still looked kinda jerky and clunky and reminded me of like some older PlayStation 2 games or something. And talking about the gameplay, that was also the bare minimum. I could move around with the left stick, one of the phase buttons was for boosting, and the other three were for 3 attacks. One for the beam rifle and 2 for melee attacks. I could do chains and things like boost and attack, so the things that were there were definitely functional, but there were just some actions missing and of course buttons that didn't do anything. And believe me, I tried. They told me just use the left stick and the 4 phase buttons, but I couldn't resist trying them out just to see if they did anything. they didn't do anything, as they said. But yeah, like I said before, this is a very good proof of concept and a solid base to build upon. As it is right now, it is already a really cool curiosity, and I think it definitely has a bright future ahead of it. And they also confirmed that Bandai is working hard on improving the Gunpla scan technology. Right now, it takes a couple of minutes to do a full scan, and afterwards you still have to do manual adjustments. So it's not yet at the point where it's consumer friendly enough for the general public. But again, the future sounds really good, with the end goal being to have this technology work on a smartphone, which would be perfect, because then you could easily scan your Gunpla at home and send the data over to the game. And honestly, I think this is the thing that is going to turn the game from a cool curiosity at events into a game that is released worldwide. Because realistically speaking, if the Gunpla scanner remains a requirement, the best case scenario is going to be that most of them are going to be in Japan, some of them are going to be in Asia, some of them are going to be in America, and that's it. And talking about the scanning, at the event they did only show the RX-72 being scanned, but they also talked about other Gunpla working in the scanner. The Helios was already confirmed as working, but they now also said that other Gunpla do work. The thing is just that they still need some fine-tuning, so I can understand why they didn't want to show them off at the event. I mean, you don't want to try to scan in a goof and the scanner says that it's a Zaku. They also took some audience input as to which mobile suits to focus on in the future.
Okay, I think I can help with that. Audience, what's next? What's Gunpla next?
Bringing a Gundam. The ball! The ball!
Okay, so here you see fans right up here on the front. Alright, so we've got some ideas for the next one now, I think.
So, while I had my initial doubts about the whole thing, I am now way more excited about what the future could hold for this. Is it going to stay an event showpiece for a few main mobile suits, or are they actually going to be able to develop this into Gundam build fighters in real life? Because, well, let's face it, a couple of years ago, the idea of an 18-meter tall moving RX-78-2 sounded equally crazy. And that has been all for this video. A big thanks to Bandai for inviting me over at the Gundam VIP event at Anime Expo. Another big thanks to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great day, and I'll see you all next time.